Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm here tonight with my full review. And sorry it's been so long, but I've had a lot of equipment to review, and as you probably already know, I work a full-time job, so this is just kind of a on-the-side thing. And so anyway, finally getting to it, and this is my full review of the Hifiman Ananda Nano, and that's hard for me to say for some reason. I keep wanting to say Anando instead of Ananda Nano. So if I call this the Anando in this video, I apologize. I think I did it once or twice in my first impressions, and in fact, I really think they should change the name. Maybe we can get Hifiman to change the name to the Anando and, kind of shorten two words into one, and I don't know, maybe that'll fly, maybe it won't. I actually mentioned it a few months ago and had a lot of support on that. So, Hifiman, I'm suggesting you change the name to the Anando, but it's your headphone. I guess it's your decision. So, anyway. This is my full review. This was loaned to me by Hifiman for review. It currently sells at $499, and I believe at the time I did my first impressions, this was $599. So like many of the Hifiman headphones, the price is coming down and making it harder for other companies to compete at the same price. So this is a wired, full-size, over-the-ear, open-back headphone. It uses planar magnetic drivers. It has stealth magnets, and that basically just means the magnets that run across the diaphragm are rounded on one side, which is supposed to lower the distortion of the music traveling past the magnets before they reach your ear. This headphone has a very low impedance of 14 ohms. I think that's about the second lowest I've ever seen of all the headphones I've reviewed. I think 12 ohms was the lowest, but as far as I know, I don't think that's an issue for any amps, any problems. I've even run this off a few tube amps, and they seem to be fine with the 14 ohm impedance. It has a sensitivity of 94 decibels, so that actually makes this one of the easier to drive planar magnetic headphones. Not as easy as some dynamic drivers, but you don't need a huge amount of amp power with this headphone. I mean, yeah, it's going to appreciate a headphone amp, rather than just plugging it into, a phone or something like that. But it doesn't need a tremendous amount of power. It's not like some of the other Hifiman headphones, like the last one I reviewed, the HE6SE version 2. That thing needs a ton of power. So much easier, and a couple $100 on a DAC amp is all you're really going to have to spend with this to get good sound. But like most Hifiman headphones, in fact, like most headphones, it does scale and get better with better equipment, but it's not going to make a huge difference. I mean, this will, the better your DAC, the better the amp, the cleaner it's going to sound, the more detailed. But it's not like a Susvara where, it's going to make a tremendous difference how much money you spend on your other equipment. With this, it's just not that as sensitive to your other equipment. Your equipment change. So anyway, this has, Hifiman claims a weight of 419.6 grams, which comes out almost exactly to what it measured on my kitchen scale at 420 grams. And Hifiman's usually pretty close with their weight statistics on their website. It has a detachable 3-meter long cable that, I have it over here, let me show you that. It's basically the same as the cable that's been coming with things like the Sandara, the Edition XS, the Anandas, and all that. Your basic Hifiman black rubber coated cable. Has a 3.5 millimeter connection at the amp end and comes with an adapter. It is a 90-degree angle plug, and then it has your standard Hifiman 3.5 millimeter connections at the headphone end. And I did want to show you this nice case. that these come with. It's what I would call a semi-hard case. I mean, it isn't like a Pelican case or something like that where you can stand on it, but you know, it's rigid. It's like, it feels like a heavy cardboard with a cloth covering over it, but it is going to keep dust and all that off your headphones, so it gives you a place to keep them other than having to put them back in the box. And as you can see, you know, it opens up, it's got your little strap here, zipper around it and all that, so that's pretty nice. But I did want to mention that the cables, the standard black rubber cables that came with things like the Edition XS and Sandara were 5 feet long, and this one is like 3 meters or close to 10 feet long. So not sure why the difference, but sometimes that's a good thing. You know, if I'm sitting back in a chair listening to my, you know, system here at home, it's not bad. But like if I'm at my desk, it can be kind of a problem because you got all this extra cable to deal with, or it can hang down low enough that you could catch your, you know, step on it or something and pull it loose from the headphone or the amp or something like that. So sometimes the long cables, you know, works out good. Sometimes it's not, but if you've already got a Sandara or something like that, you can just swap out the cables, you know, and use the long one when you need it, use the short one when you need it. So let me roll in a little bit and give you a closer look at this. And you probably noticed the biggest difference that you see right away from the previous Anandas is this one is silver instead of black. The original Ananda and the Ananda Stealth that I reviewed in the past were all black. And this is basically built the same, basically the same headband, head strap, you know, yokes, all that, just silver colored. And you know, you've got your headband here with the strap, and the strap here is, I guess it's like a synthetic leather on the top. Feels more like vinyl though, and sort of a felt underneath, so it's actually pretty comfortable. Then you got your click adjustments here on the side. You got your yokes that swivel this way, and that does have a little bit of flex that way, but not a whole lot, but it seems to be enough that they line up with my head and seal up over my ears just fine. And this, of course, has a typical Hifiman egg-shaped ear cups, which are large, so you know it's not crowding your ear or anything like that. But I pointed out in the past I do have a little bit of issue with the fact that they hang down low. I mean, you can adjust it up higher, you know, but with the egg-shaped Hifiman headphones, when you adjust them up higher, the sound stage seems to get narrower and taller, where if you wear them down low with your ear up in the top of the cup, it gives you a wider sound stage. And this, I'm pretty sure the grills on this are aluminum. They sound aluminum, and the ear pads are tapered. You can see they're wider in the back. Let me tip them that way, and narrower in the front. They're a synthetic leather with a cloth inside, and not sure if these are memory foam or not. I don't think they are. Usually memory foam springs out pretty slow, but they are comfortable. And at 420 grams, that's about average to light for a full-size headphone, and no problems at all with comfort, other than the fact that, like I said, they do ride a little bit low, and I have some issues with TMJ in my jaw on the left side here. And sometimes after like an hour, it can irritate it a little bit, make it a little sore right in front of my ear, and I might have to take these off for a 5-minute break. But other than that, very comfortable. Before I get into the sound of these, I wanted to talk for a couple minutes about the equipment I've used, because the equipment can make a big difference. And I like to use, when I do a review of a headphone, I don't like to use just one amp or one DAC or whatever, because sometimes they just don't synergize well, and you could, you know, find faults with a headphone that really doesn't have faults, or vice versa, you know. So I like to try several and, you know, find out what it works with, what it doesn't. And I can tell you right now, you don't need a real powerful amp. You know, a 1 watt per channel amp is plenty of power for this. And, you know, your DAC, a good DAC, will bring out a little more detail, a little more sound stage depth, width, that sort of thing. But it's not extremely critical. I just got the little FIO K7. It's a amp DAC combination that sells for $199, and that seems to work really well with this. And you know, you can step up like this up here if you can see it in this angle. It's the iFi Neo IDSD Neo 2. And that's about $899, and that is outstanding with this. And in fact, that has enough power for even the Saspara. I really like that amp DAC combination. But anyway, some of the amp DACs I've used are the Hifiman EF400, the EF600, which you can see sitting next to me. Like I said, that iFi Neo 2, and I've have the topping A70 Pro, D70 Pro Sabre version stack here, and excellent headphone amp and DAC, works real well with that. And I've also used the Hifiman Serenade. I don't know if that's out of your view or not. It's over here. And the Hifiman Prelude, yeah, and I've used that. This is an amp DAC, the Serenade, and then the Prelude is just an amp, and I've been using the Serenade as a standalone DAC running into the Prelude, and excellent amp, love that, and I've got my full review coming out on that soon. What else? The Wells Audio V8, which is an OTL tube amp that actually works excellent with even hard to drive planar magnetic headphones, which I wouldn't have believed it if you'd told me, but I've tried it, and this thing does a very respectable job with the Saspara and the HE6 SE version 2, but makes this headphone sound outstanding. And the Felix Audio Echo, which is also an OTL tube amp that works real well with some of the easier to drive planar magnetic headphones such as this one. So I guess I'm going to get into the sound of this. So the sound, I would describe this as the tone balance as basically neutral with just a little bit of emphasis in the bass and slightly towards the warm side mid-range. Vocals and your mid-range music just have a nice, pleasant, warm sound to them, not sterile and dry, just a little warmer than the previous Anandas. And I'll compare this to some of the previous Anandas, the two that I reviewed before this, and some other headphones in a few minutes when I get done talking about the sound of this headphone. But anyway, yeah, just a little on the warm side of neutral with a little bit of extra bass, just pretty much where I like headphones to be. You know, it's just that little bit of warmth in the mid-range just makes them pleasant, more enjoyable to listen to for me. Just a little richness, especially like female vocals. They just have a more liquid, just a more pleasant sound to them, where, you know, compared to a headphone that's on the neutral or even, you know, towards the cold side of neutral in the mid-range. The clarity and detail is outstanding on this headphone, especially for an under $500 headphone. I can't think of another headphone under $500 that will compete with this in clarity and detail. And in fact, the detail of this is approaching that of the Arias. I compared this directly to the Aria Stealth, and I'll go more into detail about that. But this is approaching the Aria Stealth in detail. This headphone is trying real hard to be an Aria at Ananda prices. And like I said, at $499, I haven't heard another headphone that comes even really close to this in detail retrieval. The sub bass has good extension. It goes down pretty low and has, I would say, a slight emphasis to it. The mid bass has a little bit of emphasis. You know, kind of like cranking up, like say you had a Sandara and you gave the mid bass like about a 4 decibel boost. That would be where I would say this is at as far as the weight of the bass, but the bass is nice and tight, it's clean, it's well controlled. The mid-range, once again, it's slightly on the warm side, just very pleasant and a nice rich liquid sound. The treble is pretty much typical Hi-Fi Man treble. Some people consider Hi-Fi Man treble a little bit too bright. I personally like it, but at my age, I'm sure my sensitivity to treble has rolled off a little bit. If you like Hi-Fi Man treble, what you've heard in the past, it's very clean, very detailed, very sparkly, but I do understand that some people find it a little bright. The sound stage on this has very good width, and it actually has pretty decent depth. And I mentioned this in my first impressions that Hi-Fi Man is never. I've reviewed a lot of Hi-Fi Man headphones. I think I'm up to about 17 or 18 now. And none of them really impressed me with soundstage depth until I reviewed the HE1000 SE, which had excellent depth to the soundstage. Also the Susvara. But anyway, even the Arias didn't have a lot of soundstage depth until the Aria Organic came out, which does. Okay, but anything under the Aria Organic, as far as, anything from Hi-Fi Man, just never really impressed me with a lot of depth to the soundstage, but this headphone does. It has pretty decent depth. Not quite what the HE1000 SE has, but enough depth that this actually reminds me of the 1000 SE. And I'm not going to give you a direct comparison to the SE. The 1000 SE is a better headphone in every way. Cleaner, more detail, bigger soundstage, more depth. But that headphone was $3,500 a year ago. Now it's still $1,699. So it's really not fair to compare it to a $499 headphone, but this does remind me quite a bit of the 1000 SE, and I would really, to me, this would be, if I really wanted a 1000 SE, that was my dream, but couldn't come up with $1,699. For $499, this is going to give you a good example of what the SE stands, the 1000 SE sounds like. This is going to take you like maybe 80% of the way there. This headphone is dynamic and punchy. It's got, it hits hard. It's not overly dynamic, but it's really good. It's got nice, pretty good slam to it, and it makes, things like rock music and even electronic dance music, things like that, sound good. How does this compare to other headphones? I'm going to start out with the Anandas. And in my opinion, and I've reviewed the original Ananda, the Ananda Stealth, and now this is my third Ananda. And in my opinion, they haven't made huge changes, just small changes in a lot of ways. Just basically, I thought the Ananda Stealth was just a slight improvement in pretty much every way over the original Ananda. It didn't go backwards anywhere, and just got a little bit better in a lot of ways, and this is the same thing, just a little bit better in a lot of ways. Each Ananda has got a little bit more weight to the bass, a little bit more clarity, a little more detail. They just keep getting better, and in my opinion, this is without a doubt the best Ananda so far. It's not a huge difference. If you already have, say, an Ananda Stealth, and you're asking, is this going to be a big upgrade? It's going to be a small upgrade. It's not going to be a huge difference, but I do feel that this is a little bit better than the Ananda Stealth in every way. Okay, compared to the Sundara, and I've always liked the Sundara, and it's been, I've recommended it for a lot of years, and I think originally that was about a $500 headphone. It's currently $279, I believe, and I still like the Sundara, but this headphone, in my opinion, is better than the Sundara in every way. It has better clarity, better detail than the Sundara, It has more weight to the bass with a more punchy sound than the Sundara. It has better extension into the sub bass than the Sundara. Excuse me just a minute. Let me get a drink here. Went for a hike this afternoon with family to Elephant Rock State Park here in Missouri, and got a little bit dehydrated, so please excuse me if I get a drink or two while I'm doing this video. So treble is probably similar to the Sundara, but like I said, just more detail, better bass, and a bigger sound stage, and definitely more depth of the sound stage than the Sundara. Okay, compared to the Edition XS from Hifiman. Couple of years ago, I voted the Edition XS as the best headphone I had heard up to that point, under $500. Well, I can tell you right now, this is better in my opinion, and this is my new $500 favorite. Compared to the Edition XS. The Edition XS compared to the Sundara has better weight to the bass, warmer mid-range, little tamer treble. I'll start with the treble. This is a little brighter in the treble, especially the mid-treble. Cymbals and things like that stand out quite a bit more on this than the Edition XS. So if you like the tame treble of the Edition XS, this might be a little bright for you. If you think the treble on the Edition XS could use a little more energy, you're probably going to love this. Like I said, cymbals and the higher notes do stand out a little bit more. They don't roll off like the Edition XS. This probably has a similar mid-bass to the Edition XS. I think this actually extends a little bit lower into the sub-bass. And this definitely has better detail and clarity than the Edition XS. I'm just hearing quite a bit more detail, especially through the mid-range with this headphone. And if you got an Edition XS, I would say yes, this is a significant upgrade. It's not a huge jump in any one area, but it's just a little better in a lot of different ways than the Edition XS. And like I said, I would pick this in a second over the Edition XS, which used to be my favorite $500 headphone, and this outdoes it in my opinion. I compared this to the Aria Stealth, and that was like a $1,600, $1,700 headphone not too long ago, like a year and a half ago, and then it came down to like $1,100, and I believe you can now get the Aria Stealth for $649, and this so that's not a whole lot. That's only $150 more than this headphone. So a lot of people are going to have the question, do I want to get the Nano or do I want to spend the extra $150 and get the Aria Stealth? And it's kind of a toss-up, but I'll tell you, I do believe the Aria Stealth is the better headphone overall. It's technically a better headphone. The Aria Stealth does have a little bit better clarity and detail, but this isn't that far behind. This is competing. This is up there pretty close on the heels of the Aria line. This is not quite there, but you know, it's $499. So the Aria Stealth does out detail this a little bit, and the Aria Stealth, in my opinion, has a little bit more precise imaging, where the Aria Stealth has very pinpoint imaging where each instrument's coming from an exact point, where the Nano, it's a little more vague. It's, you know, instead of, you know, hearing a bell or something like from one specific point, you hear it from a little bit bigger area. It's a little less focused. What this does do better than the Aria Stealth, though, is the Aria Stealth lost that huge width to the soundstage that the original version 1 of the Aria had. And it's not narrow, but it's not real wide. And in my opinion, this does have more width to the soundstage than the Aria Stealth, and this does have more depth to the soundstage than the Aria Stealth. So, and then the bass is pretty similar, I think, but I think the Nano might actually have a little more weight in the sub bass than the Aria Stealth, and that's been the direction Hi-Fi-Man's been going. Most of their newer headphones have a little more bass than the older headphones. Hi-Fi-Man was known as having very neutral headphones where they're leaning a little bit more towards a little bit of bass emphasis, which is just fine with me. I do like it, you know. A neutral headphone to me sounds a little better with maybe about 3-4 decibels of bass boost, and that seems to be the direction that Hi-Fi-Man is going with things like the Nano and the Aria Organic, and some of the newer headphones that do have a little more bass than the previous older Hi-Fi-Man headphones. So like I said, technically I think the Aria Stealth is still a little bit better headphone, and it is $150 more, but this is very close, not too far behind it. I did compare this to the HE6SE version 2, which I reviewed just a couple weeks ago, or my first impressions, and I really like that headphone, and it's kind of a toss-up. The two, it's back and forth. This does better in some ways, and that does better in others. I was looking at the Hi-Fi-Man website, and I don't see the HE6SE version 2 available right now. They do have the HE6SE, which the difference is it has this headband, the Ananda style headband, where the version 2, I've got it right here. See, the version 2 has this style headband, and I don't know if there's any other differences. So anyway, the version 2, you can get the SE, or not the version 2, but you can get the SE right now for $6.99 with this style headband. And then, but I did notice they had a open box, or refurbished maybe. I think it was an open box version 2 for only $3.99, and if I didn't already have one sitting here, I'd grab that in a second. But anyway, comparing this to the SE6 SE version 2, the version 2 does have more detail. That headphone does out-detail this. That headphone, in fact, out-details the Arias, in my opinion, even the Aria Organic. The SE6, or the HE6 SE version 2, in my opinion, has detail up there on the level of the 1000 series, the 1000 Stealth, almost up there with the 1000 SE. It is an extremely detailed headphone, very, very clear, very precise imaging. So in those categories, that does beat this headphone. Where this headphone beats out the HE6 SE version 2 is this headphone does have better extension into the sub bass. The Nano also has more weight to the mid bass. It's obviously much more efficient, much easier to drive. You can drive this with just about any amp. The SE6 or the HE6, no matter what version you get, you need a serious amp with at least, I would recommend a minimum of 3 watts per channel of clean power for that headphone. So this is much easier to drive. This is quite a bit, it's significantly lighter, about 150 grams lighter. And this headphone does have warmer mid-range. The SE6 SE version 2, which is based on a headphone, the original HE6 came out like about, I think, 2011, so that's based on a 13-year-old headphone, and that has the older, more neutral tone balance of the older Hi-Fi-Man headphones. So this does have more weight to the bass, better bass extension, and warmer mid-range than that, but not the clarity, detail, or pinpoint imaging of that headphone. And then the last thing, this does have a wider and deeper soundstage than the HE6 SE version 2. That has a decent soundstage, but this does have more width and definitely more depth. So a couple of other headphones, I didn't compare this to directly, but I just wanted to give my opinion. I recently had the opportunity to do a sort of mini review, and no, I haven't posted it, but I got a chance to listen to a prototype of the Audio Technica ATH R70X Refine that is being sold through APOS Audio. That was kind of a custom version of the ATH R70X made specifically for APOS, tuned a little different and all that. And I got a chance to listen to that, and that is currently selling at $299, so it is $200 less expensive than this. And but to be honest, I just really wasn't that impressed with that headphone. I thought it lacked clarity and detail. I think this has far better clarity and detail, and this has far better controlled, tighter, punchier bass. In fact, I would rather have the Edition XS than the new Audio Technica. It's not a bad headphone. It's just, in my opinion, this headphone is much better. This is $200 more, but this is a much better headphone in every way. And like I said, I would choose the Edition XS in a second over that headphone. Just cleaner, better detail, better controlled bass. The one really strong point of the Audio Technica is it's extremely lightweight and comfortable, but that's not enough for me to outweigh better performance from the Hifiman headphones. Also, I don't have it now, but I reviewed it maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, the APOS Caspian, which was an open back headphone manufactured by Kennerton, and I love Kennerton headphones. It was manufactured for APOS, an exclusive, and that sells for $499, exactly the same price as this. Okay, I don't have that here to compare directly, but my memory of that is it was very bassy, a lot more bass than this, but not as clean and tight, well-controlled bass as this. And then the treble was kind of rolled off on the Caspian, besides, except for kind of one little peak where the cymbals are. The cymbals stood out, but the rest of the treble was kind of missing, in my opinion, lacking, and this definitely out-details that headphone. So the build quality on the APOS Caspian is outstanding. It's a beautiful headphone with real wood ear cups, like I said, manufactured by Kennerton, but this is a more accurate, cleaner, more detailed sound, where the Caspian is a bassier, more of a fun headphone. So, so it is the same price. That's why I mentioned it. So I'm not sure what happened, but my camera just shut off, and I tried to turn it back on. It said it was too hot. So I recently started, I'm using a GoPro 12, and I recently started using what's called the media mod with an external microphone and some other things, and I don't know if that's what caused this to get hot, but this video is kind of long. But I used this on my GoPro during a hike today and ran it for over an hour, so not sure why it shut off, but anyway. So I guess that leaves me with my bottom line. My bottom line is this is an outstanding headphone, in my opinion, for the price of $499. This is my new under $500 favorite. No, I have not heard every headphone under $500, but of the headphones I have heard, I haven't heard anything better than this under $500, or in fact even close. So like I said, Hifiman just keeps lowering their prices, making it harder and harder for other companies to compete. at the same price range. Not that there's outstanding headphones out there from other companies that I absolutely love, but their prices are staying pretty steady while Hi-Fi Man's dropping. So, but if you're looking for a bargain, no, Hi-Fi Man does not have the beauty or build quality of something like a ZMF or a Kennerton. It doesn't have fancy wood ear cups. It doesn't have real leather. It doesn't have, it's not an outstanding, they look decent and the build quality is decent, but they're made of plastic and aluminum and synthetic leather, where some like ZMF or Kennerton or, JM Audio, you're paying a little extra for the real wood, the real leather, things like that. But sound quality, Hi-Fi Man is putting out outstanding headphones for the price. So yeah, outstanding detail and clarity, good, solid, tight controlled bass with good extension into the sub bass, pretty good slam, a dynamic headphone, wide soundstage with decent depth. And to me, like I said, this is almost on the level of the Aria headphones, and I'm not saying it's as good as like the Aria Organic. That is the best of the Arias so far, but this is the best of the Anandas that I've heard up to this point. And like I said, it's not too far behind the Arias. Not quite there, but just a little ways behind. But at $499, I don't think you can go wrong. Very easy to drive, and just an outstanding headphone for the price. So yes, I can highly recommend this headphone, and it's a very strong contender. Most likely, unless something else comes along that outdoes it, this is probably gonna get my best headphone under $500 award at the end of the year. So we'll see what happens between now and then. So I'm going to wrap this up. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And the Headphone Experience on Facebook continues to grow and is up to 33.4 thousand members. So you're all welcome to join us over there. Once again, thanks for watching my video.